So then that leads to a question. Some peat is better than other peat for putting into these systems.
Okay, it's a sphagnum moss peat. Peat comes in three: moss, reeds and sedges, and woody. And the sphagnum moss peat is the Cadillac of the peats for us.
And that's what you use for your
And we
treatments.
use that, but it has to be in a certain condition. You'll see bales. It's a sphagnum moss peat.
Like at the hardware stores.
Right?
Yeah.
Or the garden store. The only trouble is that it's dried down, way down. Now, the further you dry peat, the more hydrophobic it becomes, and it won't accept water. Well, if it won't take the water up, it can't treat it.
Sure.
So it can't ever have been dried to less than 50% moisture. And
this,
nobody bales that. So it comes bulk in trucks.
so this is why they had to ship it
Yeah.
all the way down from northern New Brunswick.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense now.
We do have peat in Maine. Right now we only have 2 peat bogs that are working. Denbo Heath and Centerville. And when somebody needs it for a septic system, they call up and say, I need peat for Joan's septic system. Because I've been all over both bogs. And here, this is what I want here. Certain decomposition rate and a number of other specs.
So you're confident that when somebody goes there that they'll provide
If
them
they
with the
tell
right
them what
product.
they want it for, they'll get what'll meet the specs.
Great. Did you say there was a interesting anecdote you wanted to tell?
Any septic system, pump the tank before the solids get too heavy in there.
Sure.
Okay, that's fine. This lady moved from the city to the country, and she now has her own little estate. And 6 months, her system failed. It wasn't a peat system, by the way. And everybody went to see what's wrong with it. And eventually, after asking the right specific questions, they found out she had a garbage grinder. And then they found out she put all her magazines and newspapers down the garbage grinder, so she didn't have to take them to the dump.
Oh my gosh.
And of course it failed.
It was all chock-a-block full of paper.
So you don't put
Cellulose.
things down the drain that are going to cause a problem. There are various products, certainly not facial tissues, never go down the drain, or paper towels. They're going to plug it. No grease, no bacon fat, because that's going to cause a problem in any system.
Well, and the fellow we were talking to earlier today was saying these things that say flushable right on the side, these wipes,
No.
are not flushable.
Oh, you can flush them, they'll go, but they aren't going to go very far. What you can do, though, is a very simple test. Anybody can do it. Take a jar, mayonnaise jar, anything, with a cap. Fill it 2/3 full of water. Put the product in there that you're trying to decide. Shake the devil out of it, set it aside, and look at it tomorrow. And if it's beginning to disintegrate, that's fine, put it down the flush. If it's not, put it in the solid waste.
Good rule of thumb. I'll
Anybody
remember
can do that.
Okay. And are you still actively involved in the design and construction of peat-based systems?
Oh yes. I may be 80, but I'm still at it. I work with a company in Nova Scotia now, and they're building the latest version, have been for 10 years actually, which is a peat bed in a box. Because on the failure, nobody knew how to handle peat. And most of them didn't really want to hire me to come teach them. Some did and learned how and can do it without me. So I would consider them trained.
Uh-huh.
The one in the box, you have a concrete box, which is 6 1/4 feet wide, 10 feet long, and 3 feet high. The peat is in it, the stone in the bottom is in it, the peat is in it, the pipes are in it, they're covered with peat. So there it is. Your disposal area is built for you. Contractors love it because they just go in and level the field, prepare it, plunk the boxes in place, one per bedroom if it's for a house. Hook it to the distribution box so that each box gets the same amount of water. Hook it back to the septic tank, backfill and go home.
That certainly makes inspection pretty easy.
The inspector does it. Most of the inspectors have no idea about the specs on the peat. Yes, they can read the specs in the rules, but they don't know how to judge it. I mean, 50% moisture or better. I've shown people how to do that in a quick and dirty field test. But the inspectors don't know. They don't know if it's the right peat. They don't know if it's the right compaction.
So this kit in
Can't
a box.
be, oh, and it's in a box and it's all done. So they go count boxes, they check the elevation reference point and the location, and they're done.
That definitely takes a lot of the
So
guesswork
it's
out of it.
easier for the contractor, it's easier for the inspector, and it certainly relieves my mind because I have overseen the construction of most of these.